Hi there. I thought you guys might like to have a peek at our garden. It has passed its biggest peak simply because we started pulling some things out, like, we pulled all the garlic, taken some potatoes, a bunch of different things. But anyway, thought I would just give you a little bit of a peek of what it is that we've got going on here. So this is these big, tall, blossomy things. Those are carrots, and those will have all kinds of seeds for next year, but we did it kind of as an experiment, and in their heyday, they all looked just like that white blossom there, and they were just covered with all of the beneficial insects that help to keep the other insects at bay. Excuse me. So here we have 2 rows of beets, and then back here in the back where it's just all green, those are all melons. They're really hard to see in there, but they're these little softball-sized melons that are probably the most sweet cantaloupes, the sweetest cantaloupes you have ever eaten. And then we come to our watermelons, which we have been eating and which are just absolutely delicious. I think we have about 10 or 12 watermelons. There you can see that the beets are all doing very well. We're going to circle up, and right here, right in front of me, are green beans, which are actually in need of picking. They're just getting started. We haven't really had any yet, but there you can see that the green beans are starting to come on. So those are going to be a great crop. I have, of course, been selling stuff through the co-op this year, through the farmers co-op, so that's kind of fun. These 2 rows here that you see right beside me is a row of all different kinds of peppers. So I've got jalapenos and caparinos, which are the red sweet, like the Mama Lils. Red bells, yellow bells, lots of Anaheims, just all kinds. And then this row right here, this is the coolest eggplant. There, you might be able to see it under there. See how they're kind of purple? And oh, there's a couple of them growing. They're just starting to come on. So those are going to be really awesome. They've got a really thin skin, and they're just beautiful. Over here, these 2 tomato cages, those are cucumbers. We have had, just so many cucumbers I can't count. And then under here, you can see, maybe you can see, there's melons under there. They are just all over these 2. This is called a Minnesota midget, which is a kind of little cantaloupe that is just so incredibly sweet. Looks like there's one that's ready for me to pick it. See the yellow one hiding under there? I'll have to come back and get that. They are just absolutely phenomenally delicious. Then we come down this row, or what doesn't look like a row, and this is all volunteer squash. So to the sides of the beans, that's this interesting squash called a rampicante squash, which is the best thing I have ever eaten. Really firm, and it grows in these, I'll see if I can find one, these great big rings that are, well, there's a little one just starting to grow. You can see them. And they're just delightful. They hold up well with stir frying, and we put them in soups and all kinds of things. So you can see I've had more broccoli than I possibly could have eaten. My onions are all laying down, which of course means it's time for me to harvest them and dry them out. So I'm going to have to get them out of the ground pretty soon. We tried this what do you want to call it, this hoop. We put cucumbers on both sides of it. They didn't do very well. I think next year we'll probably try putting the melons up there because they would have really climbed. We have got Swiss chard that's just going crazy. There's nasturtiums back there. All the way back, of course, to some great big huge sunflowers. I had visions that I was going to be selling flowers at the co-op, and I've actually sold a few. These borage blossoms right here. That's an edible flower that the bees are all working. I'll bet I've made, I don't know, $30, $40 on borage blossoms that the restaurants are using and putting into their stuff, which I think is pretty cool. My yellow squash plant has been going crazy, producing way too many. I can't keep up with it, which is nothing new there. And then I've got zinnias and dahlias and cosmos. There's a patch of kale tucked in there. All my lettuce has now gone to seed. And so that's what was all along in here, was all full of lettuce. This bed here was all full of garlic, so we've probably got, I don't know, 150 pounds of garlic, I think, that I'm going to sell. You can see lots of weeds here, which I have kind of given up worrying about. But I trellised my tomatoes this year. So in this hoop house, we've got all kinds of herbs over there on the right-hand side. There's basil and thyme and oregano. And then my tomatoes, which I'm sure you can see, are just really doing really marvelously. So I actually canned a whole bunch of those earlier today, which was kind of fun. And then more peppers over there along the backside. One year Rachel helped me and we put up 1 million, or we froze peppers. Never had such a good success as that year, but they do okay. There's the chickens. There's only a couple of them out right now. It's kind of hot and they're all just kind of But you'll hear them talking probably in the background. So then we swing back around. Oh, and by the way, all of the petunias that you see, the purple petunias blooming all over, I just left them. I just love them. They're fun. So they're all just volunteers. They just come up. This is our asparagus patch. And then I've got, there's a tomato tucked in here. That's a Cape gooseberry. Over there you can see there's a cucumber. And I just put flowers everywhere. So you'll see, particularly the yarrow, which is that one right there in front of us. They've just been so much fun. And then there's bee balm, and there's more of this, more petunias. Now, I'm just going back down the same aisle because I just wanted to kind of pan up here and let you see all of the squash. So we grew a whole bunch of winter squash, which is for the co-op, for my farmer's co-op that I helped to produce. So we've got these big Lakota, which are these guys hidden kind of under here. They look kind of like a pumpkin, only they're longer, but they have a really nice, meaty winter squash that holds well over the winter. And then we've got butternut in here. Those are mostly for us. And then on the other side, all the way back almost to the corn, those are all what are called red kabocha squash. And I've probably got, 40 or 50 of them. Oh, I forgot the strawberries. We have picked and eaten more strawberries than we know what to do with all along here. Actually getting a little tired of them. I've made several batches of jam, and this again is the asparagus growing along with a whole bunch of lamb's ears. Not lamb's ears, lamb's quarters that I've just never ever gotten pulled. And there's a whole bunch more borage along with rhubarb. I sold a bunch of rhubarb earlier this year to our local bakeries and restaurants. Then we come to the corner of our corn patch, which is huge. We're going to have probably a couple 100 ears of corn this year, I'm thinking. You can see they're nice, big, fat, luscious. It's actually, luscious is the name of the breed that we grew, the variety. And I let a few pumpkins and things be volunteers down underneath it. So we've got, again, like we need more squash. These are also some kind of squash. I thought this one was going to be a kabocha. Yeah, I guess it is. It's just a huge one underneath there. And you can see there's several of them there. So these are some volunteers, some I planted. Once in a while I would just kind of come up with extra that I had of plants, and so I'd just tuck them in. And these are those red kabochas that I was talking about. You can see they're a fairly small little squash. Those are really popular, like for Indian food and curries and that kind of thing. The restaurants just love them. And there's some brassicas tucked in there. They didn't do too well this year because it was so hot. But you can see we have lots more corn. Every once in a while I'd tuck another squash in. Here's another tomato. That's that brown looking thing. That's a coriander or a cumin that finally went to seed. And we're along the back side of the corn here. And then we come to our potatoes. And so all along down here is 3 different kinds of potatoes. So we've got Russian fingerlings and red potatoes and russets. And I might add a gopher who seems to be having a grand time in the potato patch. So we'll see how much we have left. Anyway, that's about it. I hope you've enjoyed our little tour of the garden. Thanks. Bye.